Om Shri Mahagणपतये Namaha. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Atha Shriman Narayaneeyam. Dasaka 89. The story of Vrkasura. Rama jane jane yadiha tava bhakteshu vibhavo na sadyas sampadhyastadiha madakritvad ashaminam prashantim kritvaiva pradishasi tatak kamam akhilam prashanteshu Chipram nakalu bhavadiye chutikatha. The above verse, having 17 syllables in each quarter, is composed in the Shikarini meter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Rama Jane, O God, the consort of Lakshmi, Iha Tava Bhakteshu Vibhavaha Sadhyaha na Sampadhyaha Yat. In this world, prosperity does not come quickly to your devotees. Iha tat madakritvat jane. I think it is because here in this world, prosperity causes pride. Ashaminam prashantim kritva tataha eva prashanteshu chipram akilam kamam pradishasi. First giving total peace to people who are not tranquil, then only you quickly give them all their desired things. Bhavadiye chutikatha nakalu. There is no downfall in the case of your devotees. Sadhya prasada rushitan vidishankaradin kechid vibho nijagunanugunam bhajantaha brashta bhavanti bhatakashtamadhirga drishtya spashtam Vrkasura udaharanam kilasmin. The above verse is constructed in the Vasanta Tilaka meter and has 14 syllables in each quarter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Vibho, O all-pervading Lord, Kechit Nija Gunanugunam Sadhyaha Prasada Rushitan Vidhi Shankaradin Bhajantaha Adirga Drishtya Brashtaha Bhavanti. Some people, according to their nature, worship Brahma and Shankara, who are pleased quickly and also angered quickly. Those people, by their narrow vision, get ruined. Bata kashtam, alas, how sad! Asmin Vrkasuraha spashtam udaharanam kila. In this, Vrkasura is indeed a clear example. Shakuni jassatu naradame kada tvarita toshama prichadadhishwaram Sachadidesha girishamupasitum natu bhavantamabandhumasadhushu. This verse is composed in the Drutavilambitam meter, in which there are 12 syllables in each quarter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Shakunijaha sahatu, Vrkasura, the son of Shakuni. Ekada Naradam Tvarita Tosham Adhishwaram Aprichat. Once he asked Narada about the god who gets pleased quickly. Sahacha Girisham Upasitum Didesha, and Narada instructed him to worship Shiva. Asadhushu abandhum bhavantam natu. Narada did not ask him to worship you who are not favorable to the wicked people. According to the Bhagavatam, Vrkasura was the son of Shakuni. He was very wicked. Once he happened to see the divine sage Narada and asked him, "Among the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, who gets pleased very soon?" Narada replied, "You propitiate Shankara Bhagavan. By this your desire will be fulfilled very soon." Tapastaptva ghoram sakalu kupitas saptamadine shirachitva sadhya puraharamupastapya purataha atichudram raudram shirasi karadanena nidhanam jagannatad bhavre bhavati vimukhanam kvashubadihi. This verse, having 17 syllables in each quarter, is composed in the Shikarini meter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, "Saha kalu ghoram tapaha taptva," that Vrkasura indeed performed a very severe penance. Saptama dine kupitaha shiraha chitva. On the seventh day, getting angry, he cut off his head. Sadhyaha puraharam purataha upastapya. Immediately making Shiva appear in front of him. Jagannathat shirasi karadanena nidhanam atichudram raudram bhavre. From Shiva, the Lord of the worlds, he sought the very mean and terrible boon that when Vrkasura placed his hand on anyone's head, that person will die. Bhavati vimukhanam shubhadihi kwa. Where can there be an auspicious mind to people who are averse to you? According to the Bhagavatam, when Narada advised Vrkasura to worship Shiva, he went to the Kedarakshetra and started performing a sacrifice in which he cut pieces of flesh from his body and offered them in the fire. He performed the sacrifice for 6 days, and when he did not see Bhagavan Shiva in front of him, he was grieved. On the 7th day, he took bath in the Kedara Tirtha and wanted to cut off his head as an offering. Immediately, the compassionate god Shiva appeared from the sacrificial fire and took Vrkasura's hand with his hands and stopped him. By the touch of the god, the body of Vrkasura became healthy again. Shankara Bhagavan said, "Dear Vrkasura, enough of your sacrifice. I want to give you a boon. Seek from me anything that you want." The wicked Vrkasura said, "I seek the boon that if I place my hand on anybody's head, that person will die." Hearing this, God Shiva was not happy. Nevertheless, with a smile, he told the Asura, "Let it be so." Moktaram bandha mukto harinapatiriva pradravatsotarudram Daityad bhityasmadevo dishi dishi valate prishtato datta drishtihi Tushnike sarvaloke tava padamadirochyantam udvichya sharvam Duradevagratasvam patuvatuvapusha tastishe danavaya. This verse, having 21 syllables in each quarter, is composed in this Ragdara meter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Ata Saha, then Vrkasura, Bandha Muktaha Harinapatihi Moktaram Iva Rudram Pradravat. Vrkasura ran after Shiva like a lion freed from the bondage, attacks the person who releases it. Devaha Daityad Bhitya Prishtataha Dattadrishtihi Dishi Dishi Valate Sma. The god, afraid of the Asura, looked behind him and ran in all the directions. Sarvaloke Tushnike, when everybody kept quiet, being unable to help, Sharvam Tava Padam Adhirochantam Udvicha, seeing Shiva desiring to come to your abode Vaikunta, Durat Eva, from a distance, Patuvatu Vapusha Danavaya Agrataha Tastishe, you stood in front of the Asura in the form of a smart brahmachari. According to the Bhagavatam, after getting the boon from Shiva, Vrkasura wanted to carry away Parvati Devi. In order to test Shiva's boon, he decided to place his hand on Shiva's head. Now Shankara Bhagavan got afraid of the boon which he had granted to the Asura. Vrkasura followed Shiva and Shiva ran away from him in fear. Shiva ran in all the directions of the earth and finally ran towards the north. All other gods did not know how to ward off this problem and kept quiet. Then Shiva reached the brilliant Vaikunta. Bhagavan Vishnu saw that Shankara Bhagavan was in great danger. By his Yoga Maya, he became a lustrous brahmachari with munja girdle, black deerskin, a staff, and a rudraksha mala. And from a distance, he slowly approached Vrkasura. Bhadram te shakuneya brahmasi kimadhuna tvam pishachasya vacha sandehashched maduktau tava kimunakaroshanguli mangamaulau ittam tvadvakya shirasi kritakara sopatat chinnapatam Brahmsho hevam paropasiturapi cha gatihi shulinopi tvameva. This verse, having 21 syllables in each quarter, is composed in this Ragdara meter. The poet describes Vishnu in the form of the brahmachari as saying to Vrkasura, Shakuneya te badram, O the son of Shakuni, let all be well with you. Tvam aduna pishachasya vacha kim brahmasi. Why are you roaming about now, hearing the words of that pishacha? Anga maduktau sandehaha chet tava maulau angulim kimu na karoshi. O dear one, if you have any doubt regarding my words, why don't you put your finger on your head? Ittam tvadvakya moodaha saha shirasi kritakaraha chinnapatam apatat. Thus, getting fooled by your words, Vrkasura placed his hand on his own head and fell down dead like an uprooted tree. Paropasituhu evam hi brahmshaha api. Indeed, the person who worships a god other than you gets ruined thus. Cha shulinaha api tvameva gatihi. And also, even for the trident holder Shiva, you are the refuge. According to the Bhagavatam, Vishnu in the form of the Brahmachari told Vrkasura, "O dear Shakuni Nandan Vrkasur, you appear tired. Rest for a while. Tell me, what do you want to do now?" Hearing the sweet words of the Brahmachari, Vrkasura told him about his penance and his getting a boon from Shiva. The Brahmachari told him, "Is it so? I do not believe in Shiva's words. He has become a pishacha, a devil, by the curse of Daksha Prajapati. Now he is the lord of the pretas and pishachas. O great Asura, how can you trust his words? If you trust his words, then test his boon by putting your hand on your head. If the words of Shankara are untrue, kill him so that he does not utter a lie again." Hearing these sweet words of the Brahmachari, the Asura got influenced by them and placed his hand on his own head. Immediately his head got burst and he fell down dead. Bhrigum kila saraswati nikatavasinastapasas trimurtishu samadishan adhika sattvatam veditum ayam punaranadara roshe vidau hare picha jihinsishau girijaya dhrite twamagat. The above verse is composed in the Prithvi meter and has 17 syllables in each quarter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, "Saraswati nikata vasinaha tapasaha," the ascetics on the banks of the river Saraswati. Trimurtishu adhika sattvatam veditum Bhrigum samadishan kila. They asked Bhrigu Muni to find out who was the most sattvic one among the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Ayam punaha vidau anadarat udita ruddha roshe. Bhrigu went to Brahma and showed disrespect, and Brahma controlled his aroused anger. Hare apicha jihinsishau girijaya dhrite. Again, Bhrigu went to Shiva and showed disrespect, and Shiva became so angry that he wanted to kill Bhrigu but was pacified by Parvati. Tvam agat, Bhrigu then reached you. According to the Bhagavatam, once on the sacred banks of river Saraswati, many great sages had assembled to perform a sacrifice. They started discussing who was the greatest god among Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu. Then the sages sent Bhrigu Muni, the son of Brahma, to each of the gods to test the gods. Maharshi Bhrigu first went to the assembly of Brahma. Bhrigu did not bow to Brahma and also did not praise him. Brahma was very angry, but he controlled his anger, thinking that Bhrigu was his son. From there, Bhrigu went to Kailasa. The great god Shankara stood up with great joy and extended his arms to embrace Bhrigu. But Bhrigu did not want to embrace him and said that Shiva was not following the right Vedic path. Shiva got very angry on hearing this and wanted to kill Bhrigu with his trident. But at that time, his consort Sati Devi managed to pacify him. Then the sage Bhrigu went to Vaikunta, the abode of Vishnu. Supta संभ्रमाङ्कभुवि पङ्कजलोचनं त्वां विप्रे विनिघ्नति पदेन मुदोत्थितस्त्वं सर्वं क्षमस्व मुनिवर्य भवेत् सदा मे त्वत्पादचिह्नमिह भूषणमित्यवादीः. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Ramanka bhuvi suptam pankajalocanam tvam vipre padena vinignati. When Bhrigu hit you, who were lotus-eyed and who were sleeping on the lap of Lakshmi Devi, tvam muda uttitaha, you got up happily. Munivarya sarvam kshamasva tvat padachinnam me iha sada bhushanam bhavet iti avadihi. You said, O great sage, forgive me for everything. Let the mark of your foot become everlasting ornament as the Srivatsa for me on my chest. According to the Bhagavatam, Bhrigu Maharshi went to Vaikunta, the abode of Vishnu. At that time, Vishnu was reclining with his head placed on Lakshmi's lap. Bhrigu with his foot hit Vishnu on his chest. Bhagavan Vishnu immediately got up and bowed to the sage. He said, O sage, your foot is very tender. Vishnu then caressed the foot of the sage. Again the god said, O great sage, all my sins have been washed away by the touch of your foot. In this chest of mine, marked by your foot, Lakshmi Devi will be always present. Nishchityate cha sudridam tvayi baddhabhavaha sarasvata munivara dadire vimoksham tvameva machyuta punashchutidoshahinam satvochayaikatanumeva vayam bhajamaha. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Sarasvatate munivaraha cha nishchitya tvayi sudridam baddhabhavaha. Those great sages living on the banks of the river Saraswati, deciding you to be the greatest God, were firmly devoted to you. Vimoksham dadire, they attained liberation. Achyuta, O God Achyuta, the changeless one. Evam punaha chutidoshahinam sattvochayaikatanum. Thus, you who are always free from any change, and you who have a form full of the sattva guna, tvameva vayam bhajamaha, we worship you only. Jagat srishthyadau tvam nigama nivahairvandibiriva stutam vishno satchit paramarasa nirdvaita vapusham paratmanam bhuman pashupavanita bhagyanivaham paritapashrantyai pavanapuravasin paribaje. This verse, having 17 syllables in each quarter, is composed in the Shikarini meter. Addressing God Krishna, the poet says, Vishnu, Bhuman, O infinite, all-pervading God, Pavanapuravasin, O Lord of Guruvayur, Jagasrishtyadau Vandibihi iva Nigama Nivahaihi Stutam. In the beginning of the creation, you were praised by the Vedas, like the minstrels glorify the kings. Satchit Paramarasa Nirdvaita Vapusham. You are the non-dual existence, consciousness and supreme bliss. Paratmanam, you are the supreme being. Pashupa Vanita Bhagya Nivaham, you are the treasure of good fortune for the Gopikas. Tvam Paritapa Shrantyai Paribhaje, I wholeheartedly worship you for the cessation of all my afflictions.